My name is Nick Garifano, class of 2016. I play football and lacrosse here at Wilson, so I was honored to be asked to present fellow Frank Boyden Award winner Stephen Durant, class of 1964, for induction as he was a star in both. Stephen Durant attended Wilson for 5 years. During his time here, Steve proved himself to be one of the greatest athletes to attend the school. A three-year member of the varsity football team, Steve was a two-time Boston Herald All-New England Prep School team selection. The fact that he was named to the team at two different positions, quarterback and fullback, made the feat even more impressive. In 1964, with the football team on its way to a New England championship, Steve gained 305 yards while averaging 5.5 yards per carry, and more impressively, never lost yardage. In 1964, he was named the Stimmitz Trophy winner, as well as the Frank Boyden Award winner. In 1963, he was named the Connecticut Valley Scholar Athlete recipient. Steve also played basketball for 2 years, but it was lacrosse where he found his true passion. A second-team All-New England selection in 1963, he was named a co-captain his senior year as he led the team in scoring and earned first-team All-New England honors. Mr. Durant stated, "At Williston, I love the routine of sports every day. In football, we went from winning one game my junior year to being undefeated in our senior year. As I remember, in our senior year, between football, basketball, and lacrosse, we only lost 2 games, both in basketball. Not just a jock, Steve was also a National Merit Scholar finalist, consistently earning a place on the academic honor roll, while also sitting on the student council. Following graduation, Steve attended Princeton University, where he played lacrosse for 4 years, including 1966, when the Tigers were Ivy League champs. In 1968, he was an honorable mention All-American selection. After Princeton, Steve attended Yale Law School, earning a degree in 1974. Steve continued to play lacrosse for the Jacksonville Lacrosse Club, winning the 1980 Florida State Championship until a broken collarbone forced his retirement. Steve continues to practice law in Jacksonville, Florida, where he lives with his wife, Tess, a 1964 graduate of the Northampton Schools for Girls. I would like to invite Mr. Stephen Durant, class of 1964, to the stage to accept his award.
Before I talk about the great honor that you all have given me, I'd like to talk briefly about Mr. Lash. He was the athletic director while I was here, and I had no idea what a distinguished athletic and coaching career he had had before he got here. But I did know that he was incredibly patient and would be willing to do anything to help any of the people here. And I also would like to mention to the faculty members here, he said Mr. Lash took occasions to encourage people, and I'll pick on me as an example. He said several things to me, which at the time I thought, I'm not sure he's right, but I would like to be that person. And I have actually sort of tried to follow those goals ever since. So he was a true leader and a great person at Williston. I'm very honored to accept the award that Williston has given me, and I take it that I'm a representative of all the student athletes that have come here. And it goes back to Mr. Lash a little bit too. I was fortunate enough to be on some successful teams, and he was the director of athletics. So I would go into meetings with him about who should get letters. And my perspective was, this is the greatest team of all time. Everybody should get a letter. And his perspective was, I've been at this school forever. We have standards, we have guidelines. You have to continue and look at the whole history. And it's a fascinating interplay. I think I understand it a little better now than I did when I was a senior arguing with him. But I am certainly only a representative. I was here from 8th grade through 12th grade, played sports each season, and they were always team sports. So the awards that you hear about are the results of the play of everybody on those teams. I take it that athletics has always been important in Williston, Northampton, as a balance, because there's lots of pressure for academic excellence and the requirement that you at least try a new sport each season is to promote balance in your life and to give you another opportunity. Maybe you can find another place to demonstrate excellence. And I am completely a believer in that and have tried to follow it since leaving Williston. I haven't been back to Williston for many years, but coming back brings back wonderful memories, both of our connection, our family's connection to Williston and to Northampton School for Girls. When we were here, I was here from '59 to '64, which was before the schools had merged. And the only connection at that point was the dances that we had. And starting in 10th grade, I met a beautiful blonde lady to whom I've now been married for 48 years. And as a result, I spent a lot of time hitchhiking or borrowing money to take taxi cabs to Northampton so I could see her. Another connection with that is that I found out once I had met her that my father-in-law-to-be had been a basketball player for Dale Lash while he was at Wesleyan. So we're long connected. My connection to Williston starts because my father was originally a member of the faculty for 2 years when I was in 8th and 9th grade, and he decided to leave. So shortly after that, I was called to the headmaster's office, and I was convinced that I was in big trouble for something. And he asked me if I wanted to stay at school, and I said I did. And so he permitted me to continue for the next 3.5 years as a faculty child. And without that scholarship aid, I could never have continued at school. So I'll always be grateful for that. I have a lot of highlights and some lower thinking back about athletics here at Williston. When I was in 8th grade, I had the privilege of being on an undefeated midget football team. We were all 8th graders. And our coach, Al Shaler, was an English teacher masquerading as a football coach, just as we were masquerading as football players. But we were very successful, and we only got 2 complaints from the other coaches where they wanted to check our ages to be sure that we weren't ringers who were actually 10th graders masquerading as 8th graders. As a senior, I was on a very good football team, coached by Coach Francis. And one of my most vivid memories of that year was, I don't remember the school, but the headmaster of the opposing school, somewhere in the 3rd quarter when we were way ahead, comes out on the field shaking his umbrella and yelling about how we were illegal and were running up the score. And Phil Stevens, who was then our headmaster, had his own umbrella, stepped out and waved it back. We couldn't play for some time because we were laughing. I guess to put some of this in perspective, in basketball, I was a very good defender until I fouled out, which happened often and early. But I do remember one sort of highlight of basketball, which I think Mr. Francis may remember. He asked me to guard the star scorer on the other team. And he said, "Now, Steve, just follow him everywhere." So I did. And they called timeout. And the kid goes back to the huddle with his coach. And I go with him. I figured he'd get the message. I was very, very lucky the whole time I was at Williston because they kept asking me to do things that I love to do, including playing sports. And when it's happening right, I think the best thing is that you are completely in the moment. You are nowhere else. And you are sensing what's going on around you. You see an opening and you take it. I realize not everybody has this attitude towards sports, but I urge you to find that feeling. Find something that allows you to focus completely and be in the present moment. You can find that, I found that occasionally in court. People I know, people find it in art and music. That's what you should look for. And then somehow try to arrange your life so you can continue to find that. I very much appreciate and am honored with this award. Thank you very much.